Hello and welcome back to Songs of Six. Yes, it's still here, I promise you. I have been busy in the background, working very diligently on this city all the time. It is too much to begin with, honestly. I have never built a city with 8,000 population, or roughly almost 9,000 population, and I'm going to go over everything a little bit by a little bit here. We actually need to do one thing though. I really want to get a janitor in this area here. It may not fit the build, but we will adjust that later, because as I was going through, I saw there's a lot of areas that are degrading. But that's kind of par for the course. We have a massive city on our hands, and as you saw, this is our northern entrance. I entered through the north entrance. This would be the side that I'd want people to come through. The most beautiful, most bombastic side. And as you can see, we have thousands of people. All kinds of different characters running around. We've got Talapis, we've got Amphibians, we've got Garthimes, humans, all of whom are working together to achieve a central goal. And we have a huge army as well. We have 5.28 thousand guys, and they're all very well trained. Most of them are at 70% training or higher. Some of them are elite troops out in the world right now. We did go to war. I won the war. It came out to be a peace settlement, and actually should probably throw a bunch of Dondarians, now that I'm thinking about it, into the Weaver, because weavery is always important. We need tons of fabric, all kinds of good stuff. So we are going to start from the beginning. Everything that I had done in the last couple episodes might be recovered. I'm sorry. There's been just so much constant work. I'm going to go over it anyways, because I still have edited a lot of these spaces. This is not the last episode, but this might likely be the second to last episode, because all we have to do now is finish filling out these areas, and then we're done. I'd like to fill out some of these areas, some of these open areas here. I may leave a large portion of this city kind of open for the idea that there was going to be an expansion. There's more space. As this is a living, breathing city, In the example, it doesn't have to be a complete city. It's still growing, you know, it's still moving. But it is a great example, in my opinion, of what you can do with Songs of Six as a multiracial city. Okay, here we are. We're back. I was under the impression that potentially my V-Sync was off, but I think it might be due to the fact that we have a lot of people in the city, and I don't know if even some of the best computers can handle this game. I don't know a lot of people who get to this height in Songs of Six, and as there are more things to be processing all the time, I have no clue. So if there are any visual tears, I apologize. You don't usually like to get my cities this big, but as this is as an example city, I want it to be the best for people who are going to be getting the game, so they can get in, because when I first got into the game, the way I learned it was by looking at someone's example city and actually figuring it out from there. So, here we are. We are in New Harmony. New Harmony is the northwestmost point here, with all of the Talapis and all of the Kryptonians. We're not going to go too in-depth into it, but you can see this is the Talapi side. This is the Kryptonian side. They have all of the same things they need: food stalls, a market, and they have a restaurant, all these nice things inside here. I think I meant to probably make this one a food stall, but it's okay. We can make do. And honestly, it's probably not too bad that they have to go a little bit of distance, because sometimes these two services next to each other, a restaurant and a food stall, will take up all of the food from each other. And then they kind of fight for services, and they can't keep up with it, so that might be useful. I usually do keep haulers sometimes around them, so like haulers would be a good idea to put in here if we start to run out of food. But it looks like the food's good. Usually when you have a surplus coming in, you don't have to worry too much. So we have all of this area here. They make bows, and we're going to be up in the sky very high, because most of this stuff, just zooming in, it's kind of hard for people to tell. So we have bows being made in here, and we also have some baths, lavatories, and a barber. I was going to say a baba. We have a barber, a temple of Athuri, and we have this massage parlor. This massage parlor is very small, so I might actually delete it and build a new one. Kind of down here, maybe in here. Oh, when did I do this? I don't remember doing this thing. Let's get rid of these guys here. But yes, we've just been going around building all kinds of expansions to areas. Obviously, sometimes I build something and I'm not really paying attention. We went and adjusted the entire pump zone. So this is the original pump curve. The original one I really liked. I decided I put some fruit orchards and some housing in here between, as well as a transport here to like connect them. And we should put some roads in here just so that this rounds off here. And then we have a little pool, hearth, a ton of access to wells, a fight pit, our warehouse janitor combo here, and then along this is the original Mevia bridge. We have more pumps, so I call this the pump zone. Yeah, there we go, pump zone, with a smiley face and a little wink on it, because of course we're pumping a lot of fluid out of this area, and that goes over to what I call Pepsi. If you know the song, I forget what it's actually called, Institutionalized, but it's about, you know, your mom. She's just treating you like shit, and yeah, it's a stupid punk song from when I was a kid. I thought it would be funny to name this institutionalized zone here Pepsi, as a reference to that song, because there are a lot of whack jobs, a lot of them. But it looks like we're actually, the insanes aren't keeping up with the treatment. We are actually finally beating the problem here, and I still have to fix this area, but I was just trying to organize it in a way. A lot of people die over here, a lot of people commit crimes over here, and a lot of people are insane, so we had to do some stuff with that. Hey, Guts, I hear you. Oh, there's all kinds of interruptions, and it's the middle of the night. But that's my cat, he's breaking into a bag. Alright, on to the next bit though. We have our Pepsi zone. And this is open. This cuts into the additional service zone. So this is the tavern over here. This is going to be like one of the main taverns, because you can see this tavern is very small. We might have to adjust this one. We want to look at these services as they are, like this. You can see some of these buildings are literally at a quarter, because there's just too many people in that area and they can't keep up with it, and it's just getting bogged down very badly. So there's definitely a need for more and more taverns and all kinds of buildings. I don't know who I wanted to live in this area. Probably Dundarians. Not Dundarians. I'll have to figure that out, actually. Because sometimes I build these houses and I don't know who's going to live in them. Looks like, for the most part, they've kind of figured out who wants to live here. So, why don't we just adjust them to the housing like this so that they stay as they are for now. Like that. So, as I mentioned though, we built this area. This is an additional food area slash tavern area for this area. Food and alcohol are something I consider the most important, at least in my build. So I try to cover those services before I cover like the entertainment services. Like we have down here, we have a fight pit, we have all this stuff. But I covered this first. Then I started to build this. Now we have some space for other stuff in here. Maybe we'll put another fight pit. Maybe we put more, religious buildings. Who knows? But there's plenty of space, and I try to leave a good amount of space in the middle of areas for services, where the houses are on the side. There's work here. Technically, there's a service in between. There's a triangular thought process. They have to go to the pumps. They have to go over here to get that. Same way here. They have to cross things that they might need, like, to get to work. So, for example, in here, we might have to put some more services, simply because they're crossing this area and they probably aren't getting as much access to the service they want. But these are just trivial things, nothing too consequential. Then we have our university slash law district. I should have called it law district, but we have our court. We also have our large dungeon. I don't know why I said charge. Brain's not working. It's late at night. I've been playing way too much Half Sword recently and this game as well. And I've just been having so much fun in all of the games and Norland as well. I've been enjoying that. But if you'd seen me in my Discord yesterday, I was so mad because there's just so much going on. Yeah, you can see there's kind of like a visual bugs going on. I think that's more to do with the large amount of people. You only get those screen tears when you're at like upwards of 8,000 people. And I think I've heard people say they get those as well. So it's nothing really too big to worry about. If I'm playing in full speed, you really don't notice. And if you're scrolling out, you don't notice it either. It's only when you're like up close and personal and you're in slow, you start to see those tears. So if you do notice them, I apologize. We have our university district. We have 420 on purpose university slots. So there's 420 humans at any given moment learning and growing. You see we have 2,956 humans in our city. Not as much as I'd probably like. We probably should try to get to 4,000 or 5,000. So that we have like double the amount of... Yeah, matter of fact, let's just authorize all of them. So that we have double the amount of the Dundarians here, because we are the primary race, after all, these humans are, and we want them to be very happy. We want everybody in the city to know that the humans are the best, and that's why they're the smartest, and that's why they have this big old university, and they have their court right next door, and they have the dungeon. And we did have a lot of prisoners. When I started to revamp this side of the city, I looked up and I saw that there was 50. We have a lot of prisoners, but I started to execute them. Started to execute a lot of prisoners, and speaking of which, I actually want to put a mass grave in here. I got this idea from Jake himself. I looked at the way he built this city, and the dude actually just threw a mass grave like right in the middle of town. And I was like, God damn, he's a brutal guy. I would have fully expected him to hide it or try to get rid of it. No, he just left it right in the middle. So whenever you see me put a mass grave, this is in honor of good old Jake. And you can see we have this nice stockade. We have a scaffold here to execute 16 different criminals if necessary. And we have 2 guard posts here, 1, 2. And then we also had another one. No, actually, it's just this one and this one. But that's fine. We wanted a lot of guards in this area because there's, 16 guards in this area total? That means that every person in this area has at least a guard. Or every 4 people or so, you'll see, like... Because at most, they're going to be like 50 or 50, 100. There's not many people who are going to spend a lot of time over here, so the crimes that are getting committed will get noticed. Hopefully. So if a brawl breaks out at this spot and they're beating up this guard, these guards will stop him and put him in jail. And they don't have to go too far to do so. They have a stockade right here. I also believe the jailers do kind of work as a guard. They will grab people and throw them in jail as well. So there's that. Looks like we've got 2 people who were murdered. 2 people were murdered. So it looks like we still need a lot more law. Like I said, I was moving all of my law buildings away. So we need to actually replenish these law buildings. It looks like that's why there was a murder. There's no one here to cover those murders. I want to put it here because we could put a nice pool right here. Or we could do 2 guard posts, which is much cooler. 2 guard posts always works better. It looks like this area literally has no law whatsoever. And I can't get the big ones in, so we're going to put a couple of the little ones. Put them like that. And this is basically all I've been doing is I look at what the problems are. I'm going to make sure these... of course they're not going to line up. How about we do something like that, though? That way there's at least a close amount of guards to that to the amount I want. And then I also want to remove... I think this guy here, because that corner gets pretty busy. We want to get a guard on it. I'm willing to take a spot off of that and make this road choke up a little bit so that we can have a bigger, better guard post over here. But I've been just looking at what happens up here. You can see someone starving. It's just one of the people coming back from a mission or something like that. But things like murders, I will get on them and I will try to fix them. If there starts to be a big pile of dead bodies everywhere, try to get on that. If there's a bunch of broken road tiles in the middle of the streets here, they won't fix these. They actually will not fix them. Over time, I think they maybe sometimes do, but I've seen some sit for eons. So it's easier to just kind of go over here, select them, have them removed, and then just replace them. Because you have more materials you could do that with. And I kind of wish that was what they did, but they don't seem to do that. So we're going to have to go in here and manually do that stuff. And this is going to be an odd video because, like I said, I'm going over the city's revamp. But as I'm doing that, I am revamping it. Oh, you bastard. There's some right there, too. And it's just because if I don't do it now, I will forget. And I'll come back in the next video and be like, why the heck are those like that? Wow, there is just a ton of dirty little tile slots on these roads here. Good lord. You can see though, it's just, it gets degraded because what was happening is I was spending way too much cut stone and other stuff on materials or on buildings, new buildings. How the heck did I not see that one? They're really hard to see, so I'll probably come back in it after I do this too. Because they look like the ground itself. Of course, the toots are increasing. There's too many toots. But that's nice thing to kind of notice is that at least with the stone, there's more of those spots on that than there is on the grandstone. So it's definitely a better option to have this grandstone. And we spent a lot of time actually getting these resources built up so that I could do other things. So finishing with the university district, I had to kind of rearrange all of what was in here. I do not even remember what was here. I think it was just humans. And we have our bathhouses now. We have our massage parlor and tons of different housing. As you can see, I do it like this. I put some different housing to block them from each other. So we have the Mevians, Kryptonians in between, and then we have human or Telapis. So just in case they have any problems, they have a buffer zone between them. And then I go in here and I upgrade them. And usually, for the most part, that's good enough. That doesn't really need any more upgrades. And if I want, I sometimes will tuck them in random houses at random places. But we also have these huge districts on the sides as well. So we have our Kryptonians, Telapis, humans, and then Dondarians 2 rows. So then we go into, this is Machine Mountain 2.0. We've upgraded it. I had this idea to make a really nice, like, Hearthstone, and sometimes in my state we have these areas that are just like dedicated to tons of benches and fires, and I thought, well, why don't I put that in this game here? So we put one of those in here. We have areas on the sides for our Garthimes to live, so Garthimes kind of stay off to the side. Then we have the Emevians doing the same. A bunch more over here, more here. And we move the Emevian hatcheries to over here with a big storage building here. I definitely need to get a janitor, so I'm actually going to copy one of these janitors from over here. If I can find a good one. There we go. This one's good. You can copy this janitor, and we're going to drag him, and we're just going to throw him over here somewhere, like this. Just so that it's there, and I honestly contemplate maybe... I think this would be a good idea to do, is to make another road across. That would fully connect these areas together and make this one cohesive zone, actually. Because down here we've got our start to what I'd call Amevia Town. But Amevia Town is not ready yet. We need to build up the area first and then start to plan out what the Amevians are actually doing. As I showed up here, we have orchards. I might start to put like different things in just to fill out space, like fields and different junk, just to kind of fill up the extra space. And for pretty much aesthetic's sake. I like the fields, I like the way they look. So we might do that as well. Oh, looks like we can upgrade that. We just use like 1,000 jewels, but that is going to give us our max on the massage building here, massage parlor. So that's going to be great. And then onto the last kind of bits. So the throne stayed the same. I haven't spent much time on it. It's just a big old square room with nothing in it, except for the housing. Where the heck am I? Here we are. Over here, there's just nothing in it because really throne room shouldn't really have much in it. It's just a decorative building anyways. So as much as I can, I just try to make it look beautiful. And then we go over here, and we have the south entrance. Just a small little area for a couple groups of people to live in. We have our humans. We also have our Garthimes and some Talabis living in here. Or not Talabis, Kratonians. And we want to actually upgrade this so that there's more space. And all their purposes is to keep these roads upgraded or fixed so that when of course, our caravans are coming, they're supposed to be going along the roads, but they choose to just walk whichever way they want. And I know people will say, well, why don't you make a diagonal road going this way? I had a diagonal road, and I didn't like it, and then now they don't follow it, so we might have to do that anyways. But we have a potter. So these guys are our refinement zones. I call this stone square, as it's mostly the masons who are important. But we also have carpenters and potters in this area as well. With their housing on the back end, 2 storage buildings specifically for each building. One with the raw, one with the produced. And then we have all of their houses and their supplementary houses for people who live and work in the area with them. Dondarians don't do any work. They just chill. That's all they do. They work and chill. They don't work at services, they don't work in guard posts, they don't do any of that shit. So for the most part, our Dondarians are very, very happy people. Do have to sometimes focus on giving them better and more services though, because sometimes the other area, like Machine Mountain, didn't have as much as this area, which has tons and tons of stuff. And we went and put markets. I have transporters delivering different resources, so there's space for carpentry getting transported to the machine shop on the other side of town. I could technically put them closer together, but I chose not to on purpose just because I like to have them in their mountains. And I also wanted to have this housing. You see, I just built so much housing and I didn't even have time to really organize who was living in what. I was just trying to get it down because there was a lot of people who were, not really a lot of people actually. At most I've ever had was 80 homeless people, and it was the Amevians when I moved them. So for having 8,000 people, we barely ever have any homeless, and that's one of the best and most important parts for me, is to just keep them from being homeless. I don't like to see them homeless. I like to see them each have a little house. I love the designs inside their houses, like the furniture. I wish that it would stop popping up this giant ass menu. I think there's probably a way to do it, but you can see that each one of these houses has just so much unique flow and character to them. And then finally, we're in Florida here. This whole mountain is just services. Services. We have a giant temple, food stalls, market, fight pit, massage parlor, bathhouse. All of this stuff is just services. We have barber, another bathhouse, another tavern, big old lavatory, and then we have our law zone, and it just connects up to more services. So the idea is that in between all of this is services, there's work on every other side of it though. So there's tons of work over here, and there's tons of work over here. So if the humans who live over here have to go get something, they'll go to work here, and then they'll go here, and then they walk back to their house. But they usually pass by like a ton of services. This zone is always packed to the brim because we have all of our people, retired people, living here, working here, doing all their stuff. And honestly, this is one of the best areas in the whole city. There is just so much going on. It makes me very happy to see. And I said this is finally the last zone, but we're still not even there because it's still so much stuff to do and go over. We have our military zone, which I actually should label. We'll call this the military workshop because these guys are making all of our good stuff for our military boys. And you can see sometimes I accidentally hit double A's and E's and stuff because my keyboard, I played too much mashing my keyboards. But we have our tailor, carpenter. Each one of these guys produces a resource specifically for our military. This guy making leather armor. This guy making clothes. Looks like he doesn't have any fabric. This guy is making shields, and this guy is making furniture for these two. The machine parts are technically supposed to be over here too, but I don't think I have one. Yeah, no, I don't have the machine shop over here. I think I overlooked that part, but that's fine because what we can do is we can actually take a transporter from the other side of the city and have him send those machine parts over here, because what we're doing is we're keeping machine parts and furniture for the sake of actually creating catapults. Catapults, haven't used them in V.66 yet, but I have the materials now to actually utilize them, so I have that going. And you can see in our warehouse, where is it? We just got launched over here. We have all of the resources. We have maxed out all resources except for the machine parts and the furniture and the clothes. So we just need clothes, furniture, and machine parts to fill this warehouse out. And honestly, very beautiful. And why are there 50 people here? Good lord. Good God almighty. My cat is just being extra today. We've got this warehouse over here with extra space. We have 10,000 slots for this building, but there's spare slots. If I want to, I probably put like 5 more for each one, giving it a total of like 15,000. And then we also have this area over here. It has the same kind of setup, but they transport bows. I don't know what's going on with our bows. Is this building full with bows? No, it's not filled with bows. But it looks like they are short on the materials they need. So as I go along, like I said, I look at these buildings to see what's what, and then I go, okay, well, we probably could use some leather. So I have to go over here, see if I have any guys transporting any of the leather. Doesn't look like I do. So I might actually have to either put a hauler over there or try to adjust the zone and put a transporter. We could put transporters over here. I have been doing that. Not my favorite thing to do, as it is further from those buildings, but it's not as bad, and considering the transport is actually really useful. They fill up a large portion and they put it on this transport. And I think that with the upgrades I've got, let's see if we can't find one of the transporters actually moving. Where are you guys? With the upgrades we've got though, I think that the characters are able to transport more on the cart. I can't see specifically what's on their cart, but I think they are able to. Because we do have the max, we have tons of technology and knowledge. We use that to get the max logistics. Where's the logistics? What the heck? Where am I? Oh, there it is. Logistics. We have the max, so they can carry 2.5 times more than normal, and a lot of them are Artemis, so that's very useful. And a matter of fact, why don't I do some of this? This might actually be very useful in the long run, because food nutrition, we just lowered it down. We could increase our knowledge, which would give us actually more in general. So there's a lot of stuff that I could go in here. We've got Smith specialization, which would help out in the long run for that. I've maxed out a lot of other things. We've got this. You can see it's 43,000 though for another tier of the maintenance. Not really worth it. And then you can see that there's other things like this. Propaganda will give us a better opinion. We have advertisement, immigration. We should probably do that. get better immigration. And we can actually increase our lawfulness. I didn't know we could do that, but now I do. School of Charm. All of it. Everything. I want all of it. But yeah, we are just doing great. Great, great, great. And we finished this off here with the Baker Zone, with the Bread Zone, and then the Brain Zone. These are the biggest areas for the humans to kind of work and live in. We have all of our research laboratories going on here, our library, more admin buildings, a little restaurant, and also a food stall to supplement them. And also, this should be upgraded. We have plans to potentially add some more buildings in here. Maybe some more libraries, maybe some more labs. Probably labs, actually, because libraries need the paper. I think that one library is good enough. This library here is probably good enough, because they just multiply everything you have. You see, we literally just did a tech booster here by giving our guys extra knowledge to the tech, and that gave us 80,000 back. So basically, we spent nothing. You can see we can go in here, get a little bit more hygiene. You can get more deterrence if I wanted to, but it's really not a big deal. Deflation would actually probably be a good one, because we have a lot of money. Propaganda. Sure, why not? Tons of knowledge has been allocated, and all kinds of good things are being given to our people of Gardavania. The most beautiful city. One of the best cities of all time I've ever made. For sure, actually, the best city I've ever made. It is honestly a great testament of how much you can get out of this game when I've played over 850 hours. And I also got some really cool achievements when I'm going to pop up here. I have achievements that only 1.2% of the entire population have, which kind of is just a commentary on the fact that I don't think everyone's playing V.66, but still feels good. Feels like I'm up there doing what I need to be doing. Playing the game as it should be played. Hardcore. Just kidding. But honestly, I hope you guys have been enjoying. I have been loving the series so far. Look at that. Look at that big old cart there. How much do you have on you? Does it tell me? No, it doesn't. I guess the only way you could tell is if you looked into the dev stuff and actually read things. But I don't read. I don't know how to read. But I do know the sound of a building when it's being made, and that's what I'm good at in this game. I'm good at actually making buildings, putting things together, getting these big old cities, and hopefully, when I'm done, we'll have a nice example city, and everyone can play it on their own, in their own free time, and blow it up or do whatever you want to it. With that being said, though, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.